Hey, this is Gary Shiebler of the Thursday Night Fishing Club, and I'm out here in the countryside on our farm here in Springfield, Tennessee with my good friend Scott Leysath, the sporting chef, co-host of Hunt, Fish, and Cook. How many people come up to you with a recipe that has to do with
bacon? Okay, you've got a piece of duck or a piece of deer that's lean and mean, no fat. So you can wrap it in bacon. And bacon tastes good. But what they're trying to do is cover up the flavor of game. You soak your duck in some kind of potion that's going to get the gamey evil spirits out, and you wrap it with bacon.
Why? When I think of duck, I don't think of it something that's going to taste bad on its own.
You're used to a restaurant duck, and a restaurant duck and a wild duck are two different deals. If something has flown here a time or two from Canada, it's really lean.
Gotcha.
Wild duck is very, very low in fat, high in cholesterol. All you have to do is just cook it rare to medium rare. You don't have to wrap it with bacon. I'm not saying that bacon is bad, but there is another way. So this is the don't.
Gotcha.
And I'm not saying it's bad, like I said, but you don't always have to wrap your soaked duck in 8 pounds of bacon, but you know, it's going to taste good. But there is another way, and that's what I'm going to show you.
But it's going to be a bacon with a hint of duck in it.
and the victory, of course, is it doesn't even taste like that.
Now the venison. People, whenever you bring up the word venison, one thing comes in their brain: gamey.
It's a gamey.
Right, and the number one reason why any wild game is gamey is because
overcooked.
So what are we going to do here?
All right, we're set up to cook. I have deer tenderloin. I want you to season, and this is one of my favorites. This is High Mountain Deer Seasoning.
Gotcha.
High Mountain Seasoning has a whole bunch of seasonings for fish and game. Did that sound like a commercial?
Well, yeah.
Good. All right, put some of that on the venison tenderloin.
Okay.
Now, slap it in the pan. And you've no doubt heard for years and years and years, and if you watch any cooking show on TV and if you read cookbooks, they say that if you sear meat on the outside, it will seal in the juices, right? Mm-hmm. That doesn't happen.
Not true.
No.
Why do they say it?
Because it sounds really cool. And if you think about it, if you sear meat on the outside, and if you press your finger down on it, what happens? The juice comes out, right? It hasn't created some impenetrable mylar barrier on the outside of the meat. And you don't want to flip it around a whole bunch of times either, right? You just
Hey, can I light this on fire with tequila and
Yeah.
have it go like Benihana?
That's TV stuff right there.
Oh, okay.
That's just making flames. And if you wanted to put some wine in here, that would be good.
Yeah.
We're going to do a balsamic berry sauce. Absolutely my favorite way to convince people that game doesn't taste bad. This is balsamic vinegar. Balsamic vinegar, this is going to reduce, and this is a cheap balsamic vinegar. As it reduces, it gets more oaky and more sweet, and then take a little bit of this.
That was about a third of a cup. Right?
About a third of a cup.
Okay.
These are blackberry preserves, whatever's in the refrigerator door.
Okay.
And what we don't want to do is just burn the balsamic vinegar, but we're going to combine sweet flavors and sour flavors. So the meat's perfect.
Good.
Add a little bit of garlic.
Okay.
We don't want to add the garlic early.
Okay.
I'm going to go grab blue cheese and berries.
Get the blue cheese. All right. You're back.
Blue
That was
cheese
pretty quick.
and raspberries. Raspberries will look really pretty in this. Let's get this show on the road here. I want you to put a little bit of butter in there.
Okay. Now, what does the butter do?
The butter
Flavor?
is actually going to give it flavor, and you've got this acidic balsamic vinegar, and the butter is going to smooth out the edges. And one of the reasons why we like restaurant sauces so much, butter, heavy cream.
Now listen, question. I remember in shows in the past that we've done together, you've talked about the importance of slicing the meat in a particular direction. Does that apply here at all?
Across the grain, whether it's a London broil or a tri-tip or a piece of deer, the grain runs this way, cut it across the grain, and you should also let the meat rest for a few minutes.
And does that apply for just a regular steak? From
Doesn't
the market?
matter.
Doesn't matter.
Across the grain. The reason you let meat rest is when meat cooks, if you take a cold hunk of meat, throw it in a pan, all the juice, all the proteins go to the coldest part of the meat in the very center. If you let it rest, it gives it a chance to relax and the juices spread out. And for people that have decided long ago that deer tastes livery, muttony, gamey, here's what I want you to do. We're going to pour some sauce on it. Let's make sure that'll go. We're going to do a little sauce. We're going to garnish it with some fresh raspberries and some blue cheese. It's one of my little pet peeves on TV shows. Have you ever seen a cooking show where a guy eats it and goes, "Oh my God, that sucks"?
What were you thinking?
What were you thinking? No, they always go, "Oh, that's the best I ever eat." So I never believe anybody would do these, but give it a try and you don't have to be honest. If you don't like it, just spit it out the dog.
No, I'll give it to Sandy.
You got plenty of
Sandy.
takers here.
Come on, Sandy.
Oh.
I'm counting on you.
Did you get any blue cheese? So you should taste the liver and the mutton. There's tastes like an old shoe. It's really gamey, right?
It's just so tender.
I know.
You know, aside from the gaminess, tough meat makes me crazy.
If you have something that only has 3 grams of fat in a 3.5 ounce portion, and you overcook it, unless you turn it into pot roast. I mean, you can take a hat and stick it in a crock pot and cook it overnight, and it will eventually taste just like cream of mushroom soup. If you do your deer or your duck this way, and of course, if you go to the Hunt Fish Cook website, I've got a whole bunch of recipes. I've got hundreds of recipes there. It won't cost you anything. You keep eating. You want me to just go ahead and...
Hold on a second.
I'm Gary Shiebler.
Sandy, come here. We feed our dogs here on the farm. Come here, Sandy. We share them.
What, is that supposed to be a big deal? You feed your dogs?